Hey there, and welcome to the episode one of the Moto vlog. I'm going to start doing some of these Moto vlogs. I'm going to call them a little bit more regular. I used to do them kind of quarterly in the past couple of years, but I want to do them a little bit more consistently. I'm not going to promise a date or time, but at least more of them, probably one a month. And in this first episode, as I'm going to put in the title, I'm going to talk about Ken Roczen going to Suzuki. I don't know that it's a done deal, but as of today, on November 29th, when I'm filming this, they have shipped him a Suzuki down to his compound in Florida. So I'm thinking the reason they're doing that is so he can get into his routine and his training for the coming season. But more so, I want to talk about all the negative people who believe that he cannot win or podium on this bike. And I have the take that he can. I have no problem believing that he can win on this bike. I have no problem believing that if he can't win, that's just his talent, not the bike. And that he can obviously, if I feel he can win, he could also podium. So here's some of the things that I think people are forgetting about this scenario. In the past couple of years, you haven't had anybody of, let's call them podium speed, be on the bike. And still, they've made some decent showings. You've had Brock Tickle, you've had Justin Bogle, Hartraft, and a couple others have been on the team in recent years. And, they've pulled hole shots. You got Hartraft running top 10 in the Nationals. Bogle here and there, getting some decent starts and also getting some decent heat finishes. Not necessarily mains, but he did even finish top 10 in some mains. So the bike for them, having said all that, the bike for them is not what Ken will have. I can attest that I know some inside stuff about the bike that he would have if he goes to Suzuki. And part of the reason why I believe he's going to Suzuki is money. And not that he's riding for money, but that money gets things done. And so Ken is very finicky with suspension. He has a setup that's so much different than everybody else that when someone else rides his bike, they think that he's, a little mental to ride that way. But that's Ken. He needs to feel comfortable. Also, Chad Reed was like that too. If it's not comfortable, they don't ride well. So it's a comfort thing, and it's in the suspension. It's not the engines. So I'm going to say what I kind of have an inside knowledge of is that he will be able to get whatever he wants, suspension-wise. They will build him custom suspension, just like if he was actually better than if he was on Honda, because their hands are tied with what they can do. Going to the, I think it'll be progressive. I don't think the 450 will have the verbiage of Twisted T. It's HEP Suzuki. I believe for 2023, they're going to run a 250 effort with Twisted T branding and 450 with the progressive. But having that outside sponsor of Twisted T and progressive gives him the money and gives him the availability and freedom. They're not tied to any one thing. So anything he wants to run suspension-wise, they will make those changes for him. And I think that'll be comfortable. Now, as far as engine goes, Twisted Development does the engineering type work to get the bikes for that team where they want them. There's no doubt lacking power. All 450s, even against these top tiered factory teams, they detune them a lot. They can make so much power. They can use so many different maps for the electronic, the timing. advancements in the electronics, that they can make these things more powerful than anyone can ride. And I'm very much in the know also from a buddy of mine. Back in the day, they wouldn't even utilize fourth and fifth gear. My buddy Dean Baker would tell me they had them. Sometimes they would be in there, but they wouldn't touch them. Sometimes they would even take the gears out, take a fifth out, just to save a little bit of weight, because they never would. They're not getting the bikes into those top gears. Most tracks are first and second, and every so often, it depends on the rider too, because they can choose. Would they like to be more in third gear, or if they would like to have a bike that is set up first and second, and then maybe a third for the very high speed. But when it comes to Supercross, the bikes now are all powerful enough, and that Suzuki is way powerful enough. And I'm talking about the custom built, twisted development, Twisted T progressive motor that they would have. And rumor has it that if he does sign with Suzuki, that he will get special parts from Suzuki. Now, they haven't had a race team effort in a long time, so I believe those parts would be a little bit slow in coming. But there are some things that are from that apply now, can still be used from older engines that they still have. And of course, it's going to have everything that you could ever want. You know, it's going to have the titanium bits. It's going to have the clutch baskets. It's going to have, especially tumbled gears, so it will shift smoothly. It will be torn down and taken apart and, measured, constantly rebuilt. There's no doubt that he would have an engine that's on par with everybody else. The only negative is the bike has a little bit of weight, but they'll get that weight down. They'll do weight savings componentry-wise they'll get it down. And, it's a kickstart. But I went back and looked through a bunch of videos of 2021 and 2022. I was reviewing some old footage that I had of Supercross race mains, 450 mains, of people stalling and having to kick their bikes, use the button, but restart their bikes. And it's not as prevalent as you might think it would be. There were a couple, and, kicking a bike over, yeah, it is a detriment if you stall your bike. But Ken rides very smooth, and if we're not talking about getting taken out scenarios like he did last year, a couple of takeout moves that, put him in the first couple of 4 rounds there, that he was on the ground quite a bit. But if he can avoid some of that, I don't think you'll find him stalling the bike anyways. And they'll make it light, and it will be a good bike. So in this first episode, I just wanted to talk about that. There's some things that people just don't realize about someone like Ken getting on an independent team like Twisted T Progressive, Hep Suzuki. He can change whatever he wants. So the feelings that he's looking for, he will be able to find. Now, I'm not saying this will happen. I believe it is going to happen because it's the best scenario for him. But I could also see him going with that Honda just because of testing time. He's only going to, delivering that bike today only gives him like 30 days to ride. And that's including some weekends even. So it's not giving him a lot of, not giving him a very much time to have a boot camp with a new bike and get a feeling for it. So he may not want to trade off of that Honda, the Firepower Honda team, just for comfort. But I'd like to see him on the Suzuki. I believe that he could do well on that Suzuki. I have no doubts that the bike is capable. It will be a head thing for him. He'll have to get a comfort level and a suspension overall setup front to rear that he's comfortable with. And yeah, let's see him do it. So that's going to be the end for this video, this little vlog for this first episode of this, the Moto vlog, I'm going to call it. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. It helps me with the algorithm. It helps get the videos out. I'm getting very close to that 1,000 number that I need. I've got, the view hours, but I just need subscribers. And moving forward, let's talk some more. I think the next coming episode I might do here pretty soon, it'll be about Dean Wilson's scenario, and also maybe even talk about Adam Cianciarulo for 2023. So that's it. I'll talk to you next time. Y'all guys be safe out there.